Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 18 of What If Naruto Awakened the Rinne-Tenseigan. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was an elite blue-eye Uchiha over an anime king, and enjoy that guys. And I also post a brand new episode over Anime King 2 of What If Naruto was neglected and lost everything, so go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And if you're new, yes, you heard that right, I have 3 channels: Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. I post What If every single day for you guys to enjoy, so sit back, relax, and as I said, enjoy. So if I can make your day a little bit better, I am happy for that. So yeah, without wasting any more time, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Jiraiya had grown a beard, as it has been 3 years since Naruto's death. 3 years of self-pitying and self-wallowing. He had no idea what happened to the hidden sound so far. Everyone saw it as an anomaly. One moment the village was there, the next moment it was gone. And it was like it was destroyed to a point where it was gonna change after a couple of years. No, the land itself was dead. Trees would not grow, and everything was just so dark and humid there, like death itself had sucked all life away from the land of hidden sound. Jiraiya made a wild guess, guessing that Orochimaru had did an experiment that gone horribly wrong, and it ended up killing him in the process because no one has heard about the snake Sanin for years now. But that wasn't a big deal. Back at Konoha, things have changed. Tsunade, the only reason why she was still Hokage was because of what Naruto said to her years ago, that she's only kept on using to make her do her work, that Naruto wouldn't want to see her go down like this, because she threatened to quit at least 5 times. It was because of Shizune and Jiraiya why she was still here. They were the only reason why she was still here, using Naruto words against her, and it made her think of the blonde, and it made her did not quit. But she had released the village too much to the council members, especially to Danzo. Despite being the head figure of the village, she was barely running it. Danzo, the council members, they were the ones that called the shot. Some of the things that happened in the village, they didn't even call for attention anymore. Buildings were being created, new buildings, that she didn't even sign off on. And a part of her just couldn't find to care. As for Sakura, who took the hit really hard, in the past 3 years, the girl had been thinking about nothing but revenge. So much so that she has trained to a point where the girl had surpassed everyone in her academy year. Every single one, Neji, Rock Lee. The girl has been trained by Guy. Her training just was something intense. Adding that with her super strength that she learned from Tsunade. Tsunade had used that as a stress relief. Most of the time Sakura had to go to the hospital with broken bones, and Tsunade ended up lashing out a bit too much. Her body needed to release some stress, a lot of it. But that helped Sakura because the girl was now incredibly strong. The girl had learned everything that was thrown her way, and it turned her into a powerful kunoichi that can rival some of the greats. As for the one and only Naruto, he was busy training Sasuke. After 3 years, Sasuke still did not stand a fully chance against Naruto unless he went all out. But Sasuke's eyes had developed. Yes, a lot. An experiment on Naruto's part when he used the cells of Hashirama Senju along with the Sharingan eyes that Zetsu had collected from the Uchiha massacre. With a little bit of blood, Naruto was able to use a Sharingan eye to trick Sasuke's system. And everything worked out perfectly, with Hashirama cell bringing together Sasuke acquired the Eternal Mangita Sharingan something that was seemingly impossible to do. However, it worked. Sasuke was granted abilities that far surpassed his thought of imagination. As for Teiwaya, she finally told Naruto how she felt in the time that she was spending here, and that led to a relationship between them. Void and the mysterious woman was currently at the hotel in the Land of Lightning. Given the fact that Void was one of the most wanted person in Konoha, well, he didn't really seem concerned about that at all. But 3 years has come and passed and Akatsuki was on their move. Obito wonder how the hell Naruto kept on finding him so easily. Did he have some kind of tracker on him or something? As Naruto was standing in front of him, he was no longer wearing that covering over his eyes, so Obito saw the eyes that were under the covering for so long. It was the Rinnegan, but something else was there, but he couldn't tell exactly what it was. He didn't know. As Naruto once again had to put him in his place to remember who he was talking to. As it just got Obito even more furious. As Obito also saw Sasuke as well. As he could feel the power coming from the Uchiha. He was surprised. Just what in the hell has they been through in these past 3 years? So yeah guys, was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. At the moment, Kiba was getting dressed. Kiba knew that he was being used, but he couldn't find himself to really care. After all, it wasn't like he was hating it. He was not in his apartment. Yes, he was in the apartment of one Sakura Haruno. As he placed on his shirt, the girl was in the other room in the kitchen. This wasn't a relationship between them. After all, he knew that he was being used. She told him herself. Sakura. After finding out that Void killed Naruto, she saw there was a very slim chance of Sasuke still being alive, as no one had heard about him or seen him for the past 3 years. A part of her heart had just died right there and then. And the reason why she was even sleeping with Kiba was because it was a way to relieve stress. The both of them had got drunk one night, and the next morning they woke up, they end up in the same bed. She found out that it was a good way to relieve stress. She even told him that. And the fact that she told him that if he told anyone she would snap his neck. She said it without a hint of joking. That made Kiba believe that she was not lying. But he was her fellow Konoha shinobi. She wouldn't do that, right? But given how much she has changed, it seems like a reality. Yes, the girl had changed so much in the past couple of years. He knew that she would never see him as a potential boyfriend material, but still, it wasn't like he was not having fun. The both of them had fun and then they left. When they saw each other in the street, they didn't talk like they were a couple or anything. They just greeted each other as normal. She called him when she wanted to get along together. He couldn't have the privilege to call her because she would simply ignore him. Yes, that would be seeming quite disrespectful, but then again, Kiba was Kiba, a shameless pervert who found something that was rather enjoyable, and he would never give it away. It's just a shame that he couldn't tell anyone, as he was afraid of her wrath. He got himself dressed, and as usual, he left through the window, as he didn't even alert her that he was going. Not like she would care. She wasn't interested in him at the moment. Meanwhile, downstairs, Sakura sipped at her tea. This whole thing with Kiba was just a way to release stress. As I made it named, Sakura knew a lot about stress, and the build-up could really cause damage on your mental health. Given her rigorous training, sometimes she got rather frustrated when she didn't learn a new technique or something. So this small amount of pleasure at least caused her some, well, relief. And Kiba was afraid of her. Because if he ran his mouth, she wouldn't kill him. That would be unfitting of a Konoha shinobi. But she would definitely hurt him, in a way to show him that she wasn't joking, because she didn't want anyone to find out about this and judge her. Same like her parents. When she has been doing non-stop training, they were judging her. To slow down and think about life. That is the exact reason why she moved out of her house and was now living by herself. As she made her way, she heard a knock on her door. She paused, wondering who it could be this early in the morning. Making her way towards her door, she was already dressed in a pink tank top and black shorts. She slowly opened the door, looking outside to see the Onfu, Cat. Hokage-sama, has summoned you immediately. Sakura nodded as the envelope quickly flashed off. Sakura made her way. Kiba had already left. She already got showered. So it was just time to get dressed and go to the Hokage. As she wondered what could this be about. Another mission, she wondered. But usually she was the one that go for her missions. So she was curious. Meanwhile, hey, Itachi. As Itachi slowly turned his head towards his blue fish friend. You've been seeming down lately. You okay? Asked Kisame. Despite that the man had a small smirk on his face, it was just his facial features. I'm fine. Are you sure? Or are you worried about your little brother? Asked Kisame. Itachi said nothing. It has been 3 years and he has not seen or heard of his little brother. Itachi had his master plan. For Sasuke to kill him. Yes, for Sasuke to kill him and be seen as a hero that killed the Uchiha traitor that slaughtered his entire clan. But Void took his brother, and he had no idea what was going on, or where his brother even was, or even if he was even alive. After all, why would you trust the word of a madman? Not gonna answer, huh? Said Kisame. He simply shrugged. You should get yourself prepared, after all. We're not gonna be able to move for a couple of days. Once this sealing process is underway, they should be getting back at any time now. You will soon hear the leaders summon us. Itachi said nothing, he just kept his eyes firmly ahead of him, looking at the pathway. Fine, don't talk, said Kisame, as he simply shrugged and walked off. As Itachi kept on walking as well, as he wanted to know where his brother was, and what exactly was going on. Meanwhile, over the past couple of years, no one had seen it fit to investigate. Or they haven't come back. Or they were blocked, lost in the mist. That was a strange occurrence going on with Kiri. The Civil War had ended a long time ago. Well, not so long ago, couple years, but still. The borders of Kiri has been shut ever since. That was the weird part about it. As they weren't taking missions, were they rebuilding for so long? Where were they getting the money? No one had any idea what the hell was going on. As Kiri was rebuilding, but they weren't taking missions. So what exactly was happening at the village? Why were the borders closed for so long? That had been plaguing many of the Kage's mind, as he could not understand why that was happening. Yes, and indeed Kiri was close. But inside the village was growing. Things were being done despite the borders being closed. That was the strange part. At the moment, standing in a chamber with several of the council members of Kiri, as all of them were listening to none other than Void himself. As Void was currently looking over a clipboard, he had a smile on his face. Well, not that any of them could see. Void was no longer wearing the Shinigami mask. His mask now was plain and white. The eye holes had flames under the bottom, going straight down to the bottom of the mask. With a blue marking on the forehead, a symbol. A strange symbol that no one has ever seen before. I see. So all of this is acceptable, Void said. As one of the council members, a woman who seemed to be in her late 50s. Her hair was brown with a streak of white in it. Bright blue eyes. The woman was beautiful despite her age. Yes, very beautiful. Her name was Ami. Yes, Void-sama, she said, speaking to Void in a proper manner, like he was a boss. All of this is acceptable, she said. As you can see by the charts, everything has been going steady, beyond what we've set up for this year. Well then, Void clapped his hand together. Everything is going smoothly. I will leave the rest to you. I assure that all of you will keep it running smoothly, he said. The remaining council members nodded. As Void walked out of the room, someone followed into step right beside him. A man with grey slit back hair, brown eyes. As he narrowed his eyes towards Void, but there was no hate or killing intent or anything like that. His eyes were calm. Are you going to check up on her? I've heard that she's been making strides in the past couple of years, the man said. Void looked towards a man who was known as Ryu, as he was in the technological scientist part of the members of Kiri. He was one of the head scientists when it comes to technology. Even though Kiri never had the technology that ever rivaled the Land of Snow, after all, Land of Snow had been prospering with telephones, cameras. But Kiri had something that none of them knew about. After all, there was a reason why Korea has been in lockdown for the past couple of years and not opened their borders. Void looked towards Ryu, as he simply smiled under his mask, not that the man could see. Well, Ryu, if she is striving so much, wouldn't that put you out of a job? Despite her intellect when it comes towards these things, Ryu said, looking a bit bashful. I am still the head scientist, and she's still young despite her fast, growing rate, and she still needs my help with certain things. I'm just kidding, said Void in a rather calm tone. You don't have to prove yourself to me, Ryu. After all, you were one of the first that fell in line when you saw my vision for this country. As Ryu nodded, if it wasn't for you, Void-sama, we would have still been in a civil war. And him, Void said. How long will it take us to announce to the world? People must know of his greatness. He's not ready yet. He still has a few loose ends to clean up. But don't worry, you. Kiri will prosper like none other. And once we do, the other nations will fall back when they understand that Kiri is on top. Void stopped in front of a large door. He looked down towards the wall. Ryu nodded, one of her latest inventions. As he placed his hand on it, the thing scanned his palm. Void-sama, he said. Can you? Void placed his hand on it, as it scanned his palm as well. As the door cracked and opened up, it's your DNA sample, the man said. The girl inside had Void DNA sample, so of course she knew who he was. When the door finally opened up, showing fully inside, the place was pristine and white and large. A giant room that had many things inside, all kinds of machines. Suddenly, something came flipping towards Void. The thing then stopped in a roll and came up with a thumbs up. It was a humanoid shape, but at the same time it was a human. The material that it was made out of was a shining diamond color. The eyes seemed hollow like a puppet, but at the same time focused. That was weird. It almost seemed sentient, lifelike. The thing then gave Void 2 thumbs up. I've just gotten the speakers to work on this thing. What do you think? Void raised his hand as he touched the thing's chest. Boom! It was sent sailing back as it crashed onto the ground, bouncing and slamming into the reinforced wall. As it crashed, the thing picked itself back up. Its entire chest cavity caved in before a blue hum of chakra washed over it, and the chest cavity started to pop back out as the metal returned. As the thing grinned towards Void, its mouth looking lopsided. Awesome, isn't it? Before it fell back down to the ground. Suddenly a girl came running in. She had a headset over her head, her eyes completely blocked as she took it off. What took you so long, she said, as she looked towards Void with a smile. This girl was none other than Karen Uzumaki, as she had gloves on her hands, which she was using to control that robot over there. Well, Karen, I see you've come along quite well, she said. Yeah, past all these old fossils, she said. Ryu eyed twitch. Respect your elders, he said. The girl simply laughed. Why should I, when I'm the one with the most intellect around here? The man turned towards her sternly. Are you? He asked. Well, not in all eras, but yeah, I'm the most smartest. You all should worship me, he said. Void laughed as he made his way over and patted the girl's head. The girl seemed to be around 15 or 16, with a smug smirk. Ryu simply scoffed. If it wasn't for me, you would be getting anywhere right now. That's true. I could probably give you a seat when I'm the queen of the world. But nothing more than that. After all, technology will take over, and I will be at the head of it, along with my precious Void, she said. Void simply sighed. I see things are coming along quite well. The last time I hit one of them like that, it exploded. Yeah, but this time I reinforced the material, chakra. It takes a lot out of me to do it, but, well, Uzumaki. So you know, she said. As she smiled at him. Yeah, I know, he said. As he looked around the room, He walked as she followed in step beside him, Rio on the other side. So, how is it coming along, he said. Well, we haven't got there yet, but it's coming along quite well. As the both of them made their way to our room, steam came out of the room as it opened up. In the center there was a large tube with green liquid inside, with something inside. Void smiled under his mask. Yes, it's coming along quite well. Hey Void, Karen said. Will he be here anytime soon? Nah, he's busy, Void said. Don't worry, I'll tell him all of your little achievements. Karen smiled at that. Moments later, as Void found himself in the office, the Mizukage office, standing in front of us smiling, Terumi me. So you took the time out of your day to visit little old me, she said. Don't be like that, said Naruto. Using me like a puppet. What do you take me for? Of course I'm not using you, he said. You're just a part of the main cause. After all, you're a big deal in this. Without you, this whole operation will fall apart. Better believe it, she said. Of course I believe it, said Void as he smiled at her. Well, not that she could see. You know, with that mask I can't really see your face. You know it take me a while to get everything set up, so can we just... Fine, she said. So tell me, why are you here? Are you here to tell me that you dumped her? Void just looked at her with a blank stare. She simply scoffed. The both of us would make a better couple, but... You're lost, she said. Come on, me. There are hundreds of guys around here that have eyes for you, that would do absolutely everything for you. You know that, right? Yeah, but I want you, she said. Well, it's quite heartbroken when you can't have what you want, isn't it? Screw you, said me. How long do I have to keep this up? After all, I don't deserve to be here, she said. As much as I enjoy being the face, the head, not like anyone know yet that I'm Bikage, but still, both you and him did more for Kiri than anyone has ever did. Even when all seemed lost, when we all were gonna die, if you hadn't showed up, for all you have been doing over the past years, the non-stop fundings, it's just, I don't even know where you get your money from. Where do you get it from, she asks. He simply winked. My secret, he said. Fine, don't tell me, she said. What about Naruto, she asks. As Void looked at her, he's busy. Don't worry, you'll be seeing him soon enough. Alright, fine, she said. So, we're gonna be opening up Kira soon enough, she said to him. Yes. With you as a Mizukage, until one of you take the rightful seat. Am I right, she said. Yes. But who will it be, she asked. Void said nothing. She simply heard him laugh a bit. What's so funny? Oh, nothing, you would understand. Well then, Terumi, as lovely as always. So, that's it? Yeah. I just came to check up on you, hoping that you're doing well. And also, Ryu asked me to give you this, as Void gave her a slip of paper. What's this? Like I told you, me, everyone has eyes for you. She said, but she looked back at the paper. Wouldn't be so bad, she thought to herself. Time skip, as Sakura, Kakashi, and Team Guy made their way, followed by Lady Chiyo, as they were making their way towards the Akatsuki hideout. It has been 2.5 days since they were sent on the mission. It took a while for Pakon and his dog to find the scent, as Navi had called Sakura out on the mission, so that they could rescue the Kazekage. Yes, Gaara has been taken by the Akatsuki. The threat of the Akatsuki is finally showing their head. At the moment, the group was quickly making their way, intent to get there before Gaara ended up dying. The old woman had decided to tag along, as Team Guy was sent with them as well, given that Team 7 was just a 2-member team at the moment. As for Kakashi, he took the blow really hard. The man had rejoined Anvu for a while, but after a while, given his time period in Anvu, he could leave at any time. The man had just dropped out for a strange reason, which no one knew. Yu-Gi-Oh couldn't understand why he just left once again. And after that, he started 8 regular missions. And mostly long-term missions that would take him from the village for months upon months. In the past 3 years, Kakashi had only been seen a handful of times, to be there to train Sakura and nothing more, nothing less. It seems like away from the village was better for him, as Guy was really worried about his eternal rival. As they sprinted through the trees, not much talking going on with them. Neji, who had been defeated badly by Sasuke all those years ago, had changed somewhat, but not that much. But at least he wasn't as arrogant as he was. Tenten was relatively the same, although gotten a bit stronger. Lee had double, maybe triple his power and speed and his strength. He saw the raw determination in Sakura, and it just made him push harder. After all, everyone knew that he had a thing for Sakura, and being on this mission with her, he was going to show her his true power as he smiled to himself. Making their way, they dashed from tree branch to tree branch, intent to make it to Gaara before anything happened, before he died. Meanwhile, inside of the cave, the sealing process was going on, as Tendo, yes, that Nagato was using, felt off. He could not understand what the hell was going on. This feeling of dread. It wasn't like he feared anything, but he didn't understand what this feeling was. It was strange. He felt like he was being watched, but no one was around. His senses could not pick up anything. So that was the weird part about it. The sealing process is almost over. Suddenly, he was snapped from his thoughts. Leader-sama. Konoha. Shinobis are coming. He turned towards Zetsu that came from the ground. Who is it? He asked. Kakashi Hatake. The green beast of Konoha and his team. And that Kunoichi that has been going through the ranks. The one with the pink hair, he said. Yes, even they had picked up rumors, words about Sakura. The girl had did much in the past 3 years, going on missions that were quite difficult and coming out like it was nothing once she was at the proper strength level. It wasn't that her name was that big like Kakashi. It wasn't at the level at all, but some rumors have been started to spread about her, as she has helped many daimyos, helped many caravan owners, and small groups that spread the word about the young woman that was so powerful. But her name wasn't that big. We still need time. We need to stall them. Sorcery. As Sorcery looked towards the leader. Meanwhile, at the land of grass, inside of a pub, Jiraiya was drunk out of his mind. A big goofy grin on his face. 2 beautiful girls sit on his lap. This was mostly what he did with his extra time now. Getting laid and having fun. Yes, it was a good way to live after all, when you don't really have anything to do. Someone came over to him, a waitress, as she handed him a drink. Thanks, but I didn't order this, he said. As the woman looked at him. It's from the gentleman over the bar. Jiraiya glanced over as he saw blonde hair. He couldn't see the person because their back was turned, but he was confused. The hair looked so familiar. No. He must be seeing things as Jiraiya got to his feet. Hey, the 2 girls says. He simply pushed them off, but he ignored their talks as Jiraiya made his way. When he finally heard the person was gone, he looked towards the pub entrance as he saw the person walking out. Jiraiya pushed and shoved people out of his way. Hey man, watch it! Jiraiya paid him no mind as he burst through the door. He saw the blonde hair turn the corner. He shot down the street and turned the corner, only to see absolutely nothing. Jiraiya panted as he looked around. He was seeing things again. Naruto is dead. He saw it with his own eyes. Why would he think Naruto was alive? Why would he think that? He simply shrugged it off. Of course Naruto was dead. He saw it, and he was too weak to do anything about it. The beard. It doesn't really suit you. Jiraiya froze, his heart completely stopping for a moment. That voice. No, it can't be. The man slowly turned as he saw Naruto sitting upon the ledge of the building. He had grown, probably 6 feet right now. His hair was going down in towards his back. with 3 bangs coming down to his face, one of them coming over his right eye. Jiraiya was confused, wondering if someone was messing with his senses. The liquor in his system made it hard for him to know if this was a genjutsu, because the man was drunk. A drunk where you couldn't even be standing properly. That is why his legs were shaking uncontrollably, as he did not understand what was going on. He took several gulps. Naruto? The man looked like he almost wanted to cry, as he must be seeing things. He hated these kinds of dreams when he thought Naruto was alive but he was actually dead. Perfect Sage. Seems like you have a lot of stress over the past years. It's showing on your face. You know, the ladies won't like something like that unless you have money. Well, knowing you just use money to get them and you don't really care. Naruto, is that really you? Jiraiya asks. The man couldn't even walk up the building. His chakra system a wreck at the moment, as he jumped up to the latch and pulled himself up, flipping up onto the building. The moment he reached here though, the kid was gone. Jiraiya looked around perplexed. Naruto, he cried out. But there was no answer. The man slumped down. He was really losing it. He thought to himself. Meanwhile, what's the point of this? Sasuke asks, as he looked towards Naruto. Well, coming back from dead like that, without making a show of it, would be quite stupid. You have to make it seem like you're kind of a ghost that slowly turned to reality. You know, these stupid games of yours are just wasting time. How do you even know which team are going to be sent to rescue Gaara? Have I told you that Sakura has been making a name for herself recently? What are you talking about? You see, I've been keeping information away from you. Sakura, it seems like losing the both of us has been driving her quite insane. Sasuke didn't like Sakura that much, because she was nothing but a fangirl to him, so he didn't really care. She's gotten quite strong from what I've heard. And where did you hear that from? I have my sources. What kind of sources? People. What people? You know, babies that born and turn to people. I don't mean like that, jackass, Sasuke said. Who told you? People, said Naruto. Sasuke eye twitched violently. You're pissing me off, he said. I know, said Naruto. But don't worry about it. You just need to know that she's gotten a lot stronger. She wants to get revenge against Void. It's better she stay away before he killed her, said Sasuke. Nah, I told him not to. You, Sasuke said. Why so passionate? You never really liked her. Well, it's not that I didn't like her. It's just that she's important. Important for what? You see, Sasuke, having everything taken away from you, and then find out that you can get it back. You would do anything at all to get it back. What the hell do you mean, Sasuke asks. You know, those people that call you a genius, Uchiha. I want to meet them. Huh? And I want to slap the shit out of them. Because you're dumb, said Naruto. Sasuke eye twitch, as Naruto simply walked off. Sasuke scoffed as he went behind Naruto, as the both of them made away. Meanwhile, the group had just finished facing off against Itachi Uchiha and Kisame. They had to separate, as Team Guy faced Kisame, as Sakura, Kakashi, and Chio faced off against Itachi, only to find out that they were nothing but fakes. The bodies of Yura and another attendant of the Hidden Sand was there. That was quite shocking. So they had been spies all along. With that, the group quickened their pace to get towards the cave even quicker, so that the Kazekage wouldn't be dead by the time they got there. After all, they realized that they were only being stalled. So with that, they increased their speed at an immense rate. When they finally arrived, but only to find out that there was a 5-place barrier. Team Guy quickly spread out, as all of them got the communicators that Guy had brought along. Everything was set up perfectly. Alright, on my count. 3, 2, 1. Do it! The team members ripped the paper off, including Kakashi. Sakura, now! Sakura moved forward at brisk speed as she slammed her fist into the rock, shattering it into tiny pieces. Both her, Chiyo, and Kakashi then flashed inside, landing down quickly. Hey, Kakashi. What is it, guy? It seems like we're occupied at the moment. What? There was a safe measure placed in the seals. You will have to hold them off until we're dealing with these copies of ourselves. Yeah, we have them too, said Neji. We'll finish this up quickly and make our way towards you. Okay, said Kakashi. As he looked forward, his eyes scanning the dark cave, only to see only 2 people remaining. Chiyo, eyes widened, when she looked down towards the ground. You know, being in this dark cave for so long, and then seeing this bright, impending light, it's just, whoa. Said Deidara. What do you guys want? He asked. Neither of the members said anything as Sakura looked forward. She narrowed her eyes towards the Kazekage. Kakashi, he's... Yeah, said Kakashi. We can at least bring back his body to the village, said Lady Chiyo. Why don't you guys just excuse out of the way so that we can leave? Said Deidara. It's not like we're after you or anything. It's best if you live on and not fight us. By taking the life of the Kazekage, you have posed a threat against the Hinen-san, and you will be dealt with accordingly, said Sakura. She didn't really much care for Gaara because she didn't really know the guy, but a way to let out her anger was always something good, and to test her new skills against an S-rank opponent. Deidara sighed. Sorcery, my man, he said. You ready? He asked. Sorcery said nothing as he simply looked forward. So, Sorcery, you started to hide yourself in a puppet now, said Chiyo. I'll take the old bag, said Sorcery. You hand the other 2. Well, it's time I let you 2 experience art. Hey, Cherry Blossom, you like... He couldn't get to finish that sentence. Sakura had moved. Her speed was surprising. Her fist slammed into Deidara's face with such ferocity. His face was caved in. But in a split second she saw his skin change color. The clay tried to grab her hand, but she moved back as Sorcery jumped to the side. The real Deidara walked out of a cupboard. He had switched himself at the last moment when her fist was near his face with a clay clone. Whoa, that bitch is fast. There was no use exploding the clay clone, as it would just bring the cave on top of them. The both of you take on that one. I'll handle my grandson, said Chiyo. Kakashi and Sakura nodded as the both of them turned their eyes towards Deidara. Kakashi made his way towards Sakura. There is no way he can use this explosive in here. She looked at him confused. This is Deidara, S-rank Miss and Nin, bomber from Hidden Stone. Remember you asked me about the explosive arts? As she narrowed her eyes, of course, she had looked through the bingo book. So it would be quite stupid to let him leave, she said. Yes, said Kakashi. Because if he does his explosive in here, he will end up bringing down the entire cave on him. And I'm sure he's not that stupid. So the best thing to do is to keep him in here. As the both of them nodded towards each other, Kakashi shot forward. Deidara cursed as he couldn't use the explosive. The place was too tightly packed. As he quickly threw out. As a bird, poof, he flipped on the bird's back. Sakura flashed through hand sign, Earth style. Earth spike torrent as she slammed her hand on the ground. Massive earth spikes erupted right at the edge of the cave, stopping anyone from leaving. Deidara looked down, that pissed off look on his face. Bitch, he said. But that pissed off look turned into a smile. You want to experience my true art? Well then, let's have some fun, he said. Meanwhile, at Konoha, in the lower, dark parts of Konoha, the Yami of Shinobis, Danzo Shimura, was on his throne, looking over the latest report. It has never piqued his interest, but something was going on with a war that people were taking notice of slowly. companies, many companies around the world started to get funded by an unknown source. These companies were tight-lipped. Many people were buying into shares, having 5 to 1% and all that. But these companies have been growing. They have been skyrocketing in the past 10 years. He has been keeping a close eye on them. It seemed like a rich financier has been going around, funding these companies, helping them get in their materials, and that has been boosting their economy. These companies were set up in the land of water, some of them in the land of stone. But they didn't seem to belong to the land of stone, so that was the weird part. He was sure that the old fossil Oniki wouldn't do something like this. So who was doing this, Danzo wondered to himself. His roots had been trying to find this void ever since he slaughtered the Jinjulki, the weapon that belonged to Konoha. As he wanted to know who that is, Danzo was a man that always knew who was who, but to have no idea who was this void running around, doing as he seemed fit. Danzo had to know. This void had visited the other Kages and spoken to them, but no one knew what exactly he said to the other Kages, because the Stone and Kumo, Kiri, kept themselves shut up. Especially Kiri. Not even his roots could invade the village. The weird part about it, he has sent them out twice now, and none of them return. Yes, absolutely none of them. Someone slaughtered every one of them. As when he sent the others to investigate, they didn't go near, but the bodies were not found. As he wondered who was doing this, and what exactly was Kiri keeping hidden, he had no idea. Danzo did not know that threat was on the horizon, that threat that was coming for his life very soon. But he had a bad feeling that very soon something was gonna happen. But not at this moment. He didn't want anything to happen because everything was going so well. The Hokage, she was utterly broken. At least something good came from them losing their weapon. The woman did not involve herself that much in the village affairs. Yes, despite her being Hokage, Danzo had been sending some of the funding toward his root agent, slipping out of the confinements of the council itself. Homura and Koharu were along with him, even though they didn't know what he was using it for. They got their pockets full, and they had a big stake in Konoha. Despite just being council members, they had the saying and going on of the civilian part of the village. So they did not care as long as they kept on in charge, and that was something that they wanted. The woman was broken to the point where she was only signing papers, having no idea what was going on, or how the village was running properly. And Danzo enjoyed that. It was like he was the actual Hokage, but not the real Hokage. She was the face, but he was the one behind the shadows, doing what is needed to be done. She was barely focused nowadays, and he will use that to his advantage to do as much as he can. He will make sure that she is competent enough before he made someone take her out. After all, Jiraiya is still there despite the man barely visited the village. Having Tsunade just die like that, despite her state, it was going to be very difficult to accomplish, especially with her attendant around her every time. Yes, more than once his root had been watching her at night, in her drunken stupors, but his root had saw her attendant, Shizune. He will have to have that woman killed very soon, and then Konoha can be his. And he will find out who the hell is Void by using resources to find out who this guy is. After all, he can do things that normal Konoha shinobis can't do with his root agents. With that, Danzo smiled. At least the Jinjulki's death had brought so much for him to use. Yes, a pleasant thing indeed. Meanwhile, Sakura clenched her hands together as she threw Kakashi straight up in the air. The man fired out a kunai with a ninja wire attached to it, using to yank himself forward. Deidara dropped several bombs that exploded right on the man. Deidara felt something as he shrugged it off. Genjutsu, the shuriken that was thrown to the wall, revealed the real Kakashi. Lightning Blade! The man launched himself towards Deidara. Deidara's eyes went wide as he was on top of his bird. He quickly tilted the bird. Kakashi's hand drive through the wing, tearing it right open, making Itachi fall. The man started to fall down to the ground as a fist slammed into his face. The speed that she moved had completely caught him off guard. He was sent sailing as he smashed into the wall. The left side of his face that got smashed was completely broken. Blood was pouring out of his mouth. His eyes seemed to bulge out. Itachi struggled to get his head clear. It felt so dizzy. He couldn't use his grand explosions. He couldn't use his C2 dragon. Only his damn birds. And these two were having him at a real disadvantage. He didn't know what to do. And his face was in so much pain right now. As he looked over to see her running towards him, she was flipping through hand sign. She took in a deep breath. Bam, bam, bam! Water bullets slammed into his chest, crushing the man into the wall. Suddenly, a kunai pierced his shoulder, followed by ninja wires wrapping around him. Kakashi effort on that part, who yanked the man down to the ground. His mouth were moving in his arms, crafting something to blow them up. He will take the entire cave down if he have to. He won't be killed by these crudians. Sakura said Kakashi as he saw the buildup of chakra with his Sharingan. I'm on it, she said. You like art. Enjoy these explosions. She flicked her wrist as three kunais appeared with explosive strategy through them. Their eyes went wide. Boom! They exploded on him. The explosion threw in his body like a rag doll as he smashed into the wall head first. The man's vision was now blurry. The left side of his face was barely working. His eye was bulged out to the point that he could barely see. If only he could use his explosions, his C2 dragon, these people would know true art. But he wasn't going to go down so easily. As he looked over, he saw his clay bird as he started to crawl towards it. As Sakura went through hand sign, Itachi felt the ground tremble a bit. His eyes went wide as he was skewered. Stone spikes emerged and skewered the man, tearing his body badly. Blood poured out of all the wounds. As Itachi cursed, he couldn't even pull off his final art. Damn it, he thought to himself. Sasori glanced over as he was still in his puppet machine. He has been hailing Senmon towards his grandmother for the longest time now, as he heard about that pink-haired girl as well. But he never knew she was so strong. Working with Kakashi, they were working in perfect synchrony, as he cursed at that. Now, all of them were against him. Suddenly, there was an explosion. Everyone turned towards the wall to see, as Team Guy flooded inside the room. They had a few scratches on them here and there, but they were fine. Seems like you're outmatched. Give up, said Kakashi as he looked towards Sasori. Sasori realized that Itachi was dead, and taking out so many ninjas, despite of his rank, there was a high possibility that he would die. He needed a distraction to get the hell out of here, and at the same moment he ran out of Senbons. As he looked up, his metal tail coming down to skewer Sakura that was dropping from the ceiling towards him. Sakura flicked her wrist as it was a poof, as she unsealed the katana that was sealed in her storage wrist on her hand. As she learned the katana fighting style from Yujiro. Kunai, best friend, Uzuki, Yujiro. After all, she wanted to pick up everything. She wasn't a master in the art, but she knew how to channel her chakra to the blade. And that is what she did. As the blade clashed against the tail, suddenly a compartment opened up as gas spewed out towards Sakura. Sakura, Kakashi cried out as he speed through hand sign. Wind style, great wind breakthrough, releasing a massive gust of poison was blown away. As Sakura had her breath tightly hold, blood was dripping down towards the ground, where she was stabbed in the stomach by Sasori's tail. Her hand gripped the base of it firmly, so it wouldn't go any deeper. Finish him, she said. She gripped onto it tight. Sasori realized he was in a bad situation. Leaf whirlwind, as Lee came crashing down, boom. It was destroyed. Something jumped away from the wreckage though. Someone. Lee did sure realize. That's the real Sasori. That was a puppet, he said. Realized that he needed distraction. Sasuke threw off the cloak, surprising Chiyo, as his hand then turned towards Sakura. Killing one of them would have them tend to her wounds. Fire blaze! It came out in a rapid succession, flying towards Sakura at tremendous speed, as she was too close of a proximity to him to move so fast. Yes, this was a perfect chance as his eyes looked towards the exit, only for him to see something flashing inside with such speed it caught him off guard. Sasuke, the S-rank missing ninja, his body that was supposed to be made perfect, including his eyesight, saw something land in front of the girl. Sakura's eyes went wide as the person, whoever it was, tanked the technique. No, he was absorbing it. That confused her to no end. The person literally walked directly into the path. Sasuke jumped back. He felt death. Despite trying to turn himself into a perfect being, he still had a heart. So he felt the fear of death. He quickly leaped away to the opposite side, realizing why when he saw someone else was behind him. Sharingan eyes glimmering in the darkness. Sakura looked up to who saved her. As Sasuke narrowed his eyes, he was the one that saved her, as it was indeed Naruto. He must have a purpose for saving Sakura. There was something that Naruto wanted. It seems important. The entire place was quiet. Even Sasuke was quiet. When he took in the features of the person, how could it be? This man. Well, he was supposed to be a young kid, but his features has changed so much. He was supposed to be dead. Sakura blinked, confused, as she saw the blonde hair. His face slowly turned towards her, as she saw the 3 whisker marks. Naruto? But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next part to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications to stay posted. But more for now, see you guys soon. Peace.